just want to welcome everybody in case you're wondering where you're supposed to be, this webinar is to talk about EMC's new WILWorks program, which I have to tell you, if there's any manufacturer out there that's not taking advantage of this program, I think we're missing something, because it is a fabulous program. And there's one of the things that I hear from so many of my members is that they have work that needs to be done and they don't necessarily have the people to do it. So this is a way that you can be able to get those resources. And oh, by the way, it is funded. So you're going to hear a lot more details about how you can get involved with your company. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kim Wolf, and I am an Field Service Advisor with EMC, Excellence in Manufacturing Consortium. I've been with EMC for a few years now, and as our members will tell you, there are lots and lots of resources that EMC has available. So we're going to talk briefly about some of those, because we do have some folks who are new joining us who are just now getting familiar with EMC, and we want them to know what our role is with EMC. And then we will go right into the WILWorks program. For just a one housekeeping item is that if you don't mind making sure that the name that's showing up on your Zoom account has your first and last name, we want to make sure that we send the information back out to you after our webinar is over. And I want to make sure that I know who you are. So for example, I've got a few different Lindas, I've got a couple of Dougs, and I'm not sure which ones that you are. So if you don't mind changing the view of your name, and just make sure that your first and last name is on there so that we can make sure we get the follow-up materials sent to you, that would be very helpful. So to talk about EMC for just a couple of minutes here before we get started is that we are a not-for-profit organization that brings manufacturers together. It amazes me how year after year we have all different sizes of organizations and are very well balanced. So under 50 employees and over 500 employees and everything in between. So we've got a lot of CMEs, but we have a lot of Fortune 500 companies as well. We also cross all sectors. So we've got, food, we've got consumer goods, we've got machined goods, etc. So I think that allows manufacturers to really be able to leverage the knowledge, leverage the knowledge that they have. So our real purpose is to connect EMC with others in manufacturing. And I think that I've learned over time that it doesn't really matter what sector you're in or how big your company is, we all have the same problems. And so to be able to share those issues that we may have, also to share the successes that we have so that we can benchmark from each other is so important. And I was a member of EMC for many years before I actually joined the EMC team. And I have to tell you, this was the single best resource that I had. So I know that many on the call today are members who've been with us for a long time. And again, we've got some others who are new to EMC. So I'd like to welcome those companies. And I really do hope that you can see the value that EMC has with your success and making sure that you actually can start not with a blank sheet of paper, but you can start with something that your peers in other industries may have already done. This is kind of our motto, is that EMC members share with pride. An example is that I had one of my members who had an MOL visit a few weeks ago, and he sent me a fairly detailed report of what the MOL inspector was asking, and then also the feedback that they got back. And so I shared that with our members, and my gosh, the feedback that I got was just wonderful, because they're saying, thank you. Now we know kind of what we need to do just to make sure that we're buttoned up as well. So sharing those best practices, benchmarking with other companies is really the heart of EMC. And so that's really some of the things that we're going to talk about today when we start to talk about WILWorks. WILWorks is just one of the programs that we have. It's a value-added program specifically for manufacturers. And you know that EMC, that's what we specialize in, is manufacturing. So if we want to just flip over to the next slide, I'm going to just put up a quick poll that I would like for you to to take a look at. Do you have any plans to hire a post-secondary student in the next several months? And yes, no, or that you're not sure. And that'll help us to know, you know, a little bit about our audience and what you all are looking for. Give it another minute or so, or a few seconds. Okay. All right, we'll take a look at that. So we've got yes, many of you. We've got a few that say no, and we've got some that say that they're just not sure yet. And so I do hope that this information that we talk about today will help to support those of you who are planning to hire a post-secondary student, and those of you who are not sure yet. I'm hoping that maybe this will give you enough information to be able to make the decision of whether or not this program will help to support what you're looking at moving forward. If you're not looking at hiring a post-secondary student at this point, maybe you will be in the future. And we're going to talk about the length of time that this program goes on. So maybe you're not interested in the near future, but maybe you will be coming up soon. With that, I'm going to introduce you to Raf Khan. Raf is new to EMC. He is our Director of Manufacturing Initiatives. And Raf is going to lead you through the WILWorks program. Just as a reminder, we will be doing a section of frequently asked questions. So I'm hoping that we get to answer your question as we move forward. If not, you are certainly welcome to use your chat feature, as I mentioned in the when I sent you the Zoom link. So with that, Raf, I'll pass it over to you.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Kim. Everyone hear me okay? Maybe give me a thumbs up from someone. Okay, great. Maybe I'll just ask if everyone can put themselves on mute. That would be great, because I'm getting a little bit of background feedback where I am. So thank you very much for your time this morning. As Kim mentioned, I'm relatively new to EMC, but I wanted to take a few minutes to talk to you about the Government of Canada's Student Workplace Program. I think that this is a really good program, and quite frankly, it's a great opportunity to get a wage subsidy up to $7,500 for students, especially in the near term right now. EMC is a preferred partner for this program, and what we're going to do is go over a bit of a summary on the program itself, our role within that, and then, as Kim alluded to, we're going to spend a fair bit of time on some frequently asked questions. This program has actually been live for us for a few weeks now, and we've got just under 100 placements. So we've heard a lot from participating employers, and we'll share that with you as well. Just another piece of housekeeping, though, and is we are going to ask you to add your questions via chat. And then we will certainly address any of them at the end of the presentation. And if there's any that are very specific or we don't know the answers to, we'll certainly get back to you with the answers. So just a little bit on the Government of Canada's Student Placement Program. It's a program really at the end of the day to help employers find future employees or to find the skills that they're going to need. For students, it's a great opportunity to get work experience directly from an employer, and it ultimately helps with their employability at the end when they graduate. So this is part of a very large government initiative. It's fairly new for EMC. It's been around for a couple of years now, but we've recently just taken it on. We've been asked to place just a little under 1,000 employees over the next couple of years. But I think the big news on this is not only is it, it gives you access to $7,500 in funding over 16 weeks, But EMC will be facilitating just under $6 million worth of funding for this type of employment over the next 2 years, which obviously is very big for the manufacturing sector. I want to just go through how the wage subsidy works. And as I mentioned, the subsidy has been around for a couple of years now. When it was initially set up, it allowed for 50% or up to $5,000 for a new placement. If employers hired from an unrepresented group, and we've got a list of the unrepresented groups here, you could bump that subsidy up to 70%. Now, since the COVID-19 hit in early part of this year, the government of Canada actually changed the program and put a temporary measure in place, which meant that employers could get up to $7,500 for any students that they place for up to 16 weeks. Students can work from home as well, but this measure was put in place and will be valid until May 31st. So where we've seen traction with some of the manufacturers right now is some have hired students in September for their work terms or apprenticeships or whatever that happens to be from September to December. We were able to backdate some of that and provide funding for some of those placements. We've also got employers now focused on the winter term, which is January to April, where they're already putting in applications for funding during that time. And as I said, we've already approved over 100. Some employers are already looking beyond that and are already starting to put applications in for the summer as well. So just as a quick snapshot of the program itself, this is a minimum of 6 weeks and maximum of 16-week placement up to $7,500. It's for any students that are employed within the manufacturing sector, and they don't have to be directly involved in manufacturing. We can also accommodate students such as in the HR department or in IT or in finance and so on, as long as they're hired by a manufacturer or related in the industry. The application process is actually done through our own WILWorks platform, and the reimbursement will be given at the end of the 16-week placement, usually within a few weeks afterwards. Employers themselves will be responsible for students, so you will have the ability to select the best possible talent that you want, and on that, actually, we can connect you with post-secondary institutions at the college or university level who will be able to connect you with the students that maybe fit your roles the best. And on that, I wanted to share this slide, and this is a slide from the Government of Canada that actually shows its overall strategy. But what's important on my last comment about connecting with the universities and colleges, that activity stream for us for the next couple of years is going to be developing a strategy to create sustainable partnerships between industry and post-secondary institutions. So, you know, this will be something that you'll hear more and more about from us in the coming months for sure. So I want to just take you through a really easy process for how the program works. We have, as I mentioned, an online application process. It takes about 15 minutes to complete that, and usually we ask that you have a copy of your job posting with you. It makes things move along pretty quickly. And then from there, our team will review the application, and that only usually takes a couple of minutes. And at that point, we will, if there's questions that we have, then we'll contact you and we'll go through those. It might be a question around the funding or eligibility, whatever. And then from there, once we complete that, then we'll give you the kind of the green light to recruit. And once you've recruited and hired your student, you provide us with the information about the student. And then after the 16 weeks, or just before the end, the Government of Canada has asked us to have the employer and the student complete an exit survey. And then from there, at the completion of employment, we're asking that their employers send us a copy of the first and last pay stubs for the students. And then from there, a couple of weeks later, we'll disperse the funds directly to the employer. Simple as that. And we'll give you all a copy of this this presentation because it does have some links. So you can see the link here it goes directly to the quick application. And we've included the contact information for a couple of our team who are working hand in hand with our members and with non-members to ensure that we are answering your questions and getting your applications in a timely manner. So with that, we wanted to then focus on some of our frequently asked questions. As I said, that we've got quite a few that have come up over the last little bit, and then we'll just focus on some of those that are coming up in chat. So the very first one, what's considered a work placement for this? So usually, the academic institutions will have, whether it's a co-op, a mentorship, or apprenticeship, practicum, and so on. But since the COVID measures came in place, any students hired by manufacturers during that time period, and it doesn't have to be from the groups, will be eligible to receive up to the $7,500 or 75% of the wage. The next one that we have, if our co-op placements are longer than 16 weeks, can we apply for more than one subsidy? And the answer is yes. The best thing in those situations is we will look at how your terms or how your placements are being structured. And sometimes we will even consult with the government to make sure. But in our experience over the past couple of weeks, we were able to accommodate more than 16 weeks for sure. And I alluded to the next one. Does a student have to be in a manufacturing role? And the answer is no, it can be in the indirect role for sure. Next one, are we eligible if we are participating in another federal wage program? And the answer on that one, unfortunately, is no. If you are already accessing one program, then it can only be funded by one. But the next one is probably good news for some. If you are already receiving partial government funding, are you eligible? And the answer to that is yes. So again, we can help you sort through that and navigate those waters to make sure that you're maximizing all your funding opportunities for sure. The next one, can I hire a recent graduate? And the answer to that one, unfortunately, is no. This is focused just on students who are presently registered full-time or part-time with a post-secondary institution. Does it cover high school students? Unfortunately not, but we are in the process right now of looking at WILWorks for high school, potentially for the summer or beyond. Can I hire an international student? Unfortunately not. This is just eligible to Canadian students. And can EMC help me recruit a student? No, but we can certainly connect you with a suitable organization that can help you. Okay, so that was a pretty quick summary of what we've heard so far, as well as some of our frequently asked questions. Maybe I'll turn it over now to the chat. Maybe Susan or Wendy, you can jump on and you can go through maybe some of the questions that we've received.
Yes, thank you, Raf, and good morning, everyone. We have had a couple of questions come in through the chat right now, and the first one was about the deadline to take advantage of the temporary subsidy and those COVID relief measures. So the WILWorks program as a whole will be running up until March 2022. So the wage subsidy is available at 50% up to $5,000, or 70% up to $7,000 for those underrepresented groups, will continue on until the end of next March, so March 2022. The temporary COVID relief measures with the subsidy or wage subsidy available up to 75% or $7,500 is a temporary measure that is currently set until May 31st of 2021. And we had a question about international co-op students as well. And under the current student work placement program and WILWorks, international students are not eligible for the wage subsidy. We're hoping, however, there may be the opportunity if a wage subsidy is available for a domestic student, it may provide the opportunities for manufacturers to provide placements for more students than they perhaps have in the past. So it really is an opportunity for you to maybe look at the current situation, and if you're taking advantage of the wage subsidy, looking to see how many student placements you may be able to support, knowing that there is funding or support available for some of those placements.
I actually had a question that was sent privately that said that they hired a student in September, and how do we apply for a backdated subsidy?
Yes, absolutely. So it is possible. The application portal is open. So there is a link to it in the presentation, and we will be sending the link in a follow-up email after this presentation as well. So you are able at the present time to still apply for a placement for the fall term. So the application process, one of the first questions is the term that you're applying for. So you would choose the fall term at this point in time and submit the application.
Does anybody have any other questions? Please feel free to get those into chat. And while people are typing, we're going to do another poll. So hopefully you can see that. Now that you've heard about WILWorks funding, do you believe that EMC can support your company's upcoming plans? Yes, can't wait to get started. Not right now, or I'm not sure, I need more information. If you wouldn't mind just clicking on that poll, that would be great. That'll help us to know if we got the information across to you properly. Oh, I'm sorry. Can't see it. There we go. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Oh no, this looks like it was broken.
Yeah. Okay. We'll get that shared with you here. So we have a lot. Yes, can't wait to get started. That's awesome. And we are going to send you the links to be able to do that. Not right now. That's okay. That's all right if it's not the right time for you, but you are aware of the problem or the program. You know what we've got coming up as far as how long the program is in existence. And the not sure, I need more information. So I would encourage those folks to please go ahead, and if there are questions, you can ask them now. We are also going to send you the links so that you can get in and peruse through the platform. You can take a look at our website where we've got some of this information posted for you. So our job is to get that information for you. So you now have the contacts that we're going to be showing you to in a different slide here in a couple of minutes of people that you can make sure that you're contacting. So let's go back to answering some of the questions that we've gotten. I see we've had a few more that have popped up.
Yep, absolutely. So we have a question here about applying for multiple subsidies at once. And under the WILWorks program, it absolutely is possible for employers to apply for a subsidy for more than one placement in a term. So if you are hiring more than one student, absolutely. What you will do is submit an application for each student placement that you are offering. So the placements themselves and the wage subsidy do correspond with a student. So you will just go through the application process for each of the student placements that you're hoping to receive or get approval of a wage subsidy for. Through the application process, one of the first steps is submitting all of your organization information. And there is the opportunity to save that information. So if you're applying for multiple students, it can help with that first step of the process, as once you log into your account, that organization information will be saved for you there already. Okay, and a question about how early do you suggest to start recruiting for a placement for next fall, so September 2021. So we find, or I would encourage, or we would encourage employers to start recruiting students for placements kind of at the start of the term before when the placement would begin. So when you're looking at post-secondary institutions, many of them start posting positions for their students the early or at the beginning of the semester before the placements start. So if you are looking to recruit for September of 2021, I would encourage you to start seeking out or working with your educational or post-secondary institutions in that kind of May, June timeframe for those fall placements. So it's the earlier you start, the more opportunity you have to expose your placements to post-secondary students. As well, the earlier that you post your positions, the more student talent will be available because there'll be fewer students that have secured placements for the term that you're looking for. So it's always a good process to follow is to kind of think ahead and be posting those positions as early as possible in the term previous or just before your work placement.
And just one further note on that too, the earlier that you submit your application through EMC for funding, the earlier that you'll know that you've been approved and you can plan for that position then from a financial perspective.
Perfect, thank you. And I'm seeing questions coming in here as well. One with the funding that's being offered for COVID. So apologies for some that may have come late, and we will be providing the slides to you afterwards. But I think it's important to note that the WILWorks program running up until March 2022 has a wage subsidy available of up to $5,000 or 50% of a student's salary, or $7,000 or up to 70% of a student's salary for those in underrepresented groups. So I think it's important to note that this wage subsidy is in place and will continue through the WILWorks program until March of 2022. Currently, with the COVID relief measures from the Government of Canada, it is possible to receive a wage subsidy of up to $7,500, and that currently applies to the winter term. So it's a relief measure that came into place last winter after COVID first started to really impact, and it has been extended now until the end of the winter term. So that's where the COVID relief measure comes into play. And but it's important again to note that there still is a wage subsidy available for after that COVID relief measure has expired. Does the position the student is filling need to relate to their area of study? And that is a requirement of the WILWorks program. So we're hoping for placements to be approvable, that match to the student's area of study does need to be there. So some alignment with learning outcomes. And one of the things that I really appreciate about post-secondary education is all of those transferable skills. So I would suggest that employers apply for subsidies and submit. There's a short job description as part of the application process, and that then allows us to gather some information about the position. We can kind of look at the main skill sets that are needed, required, or going to be learned as part of the placement, and being able then to have a look at the student's area of study. So if it's a question that you have, you can definitely check in with us before submitting the application if you do have a student in mind for a specific posting. However, I also encourage employers to apply for the funding because, again, those transferable skills are often that enables us to make a match.
Susan, it's Wendy. I'll just jump in here. There's a question from Michael Allen. And Michael, I will be in touch with you right after the webinar, if that's okay, because we have approved the applications to date. So I just want to make sure that you have received the appropriate approval from us. And also I can work with you on the next steps, which would be, of course, the employer agreement. And we can discuss that. If I can call you right after this webinar, that would be great.
Perfect. Thank you, Wendy. We have a question of whether we feel it's too late for the January term, and the answer to that is no. If you feel like you could benefit or utilize student talent and offer placements for students for the January term, it is not too late to apply for the WILWorks wage subsidy and also to be recruiting students from post-secondary institutions. I do know that we have a lot of post-secondary institutions out there that still have student talent available for winter placements. So I would encourage you to apply and to be making that, that connection with post-secondary institutions as well. And a lot of questions about how to apply. So I think the application is through our WILWorks platform. So again, the link was presented in the presentation, although if someone could post the link in the chat as well to the WILWorks landing page as well as to the application platform, that will enable you to see exactly where you go to apply. So the WILWorks landing page has information about the program. It also has frequently asked questions for employers and for students, but then it also has a link, a big apply now button right there that takes you directly to the WILWorks platform. I think the other thing I would like to just reaffirm is that Excellence in Manufacturing Consortium, or EMC, is not actually providing the students. We are facilitating the wage subsidy program. However, it is the employers that are sourcing the students through your regular recruitment avenue. So if you have recruitment strategies that you've used in the past for student talent, you can continue that, and or working with post-secondary institutions is strongly encouraged. And if you're wondering about what institutions might be a good fit for your needs, we can definitely, if you want to connect with us, put you in contact with some post-secondary institutions that may be a good fit. There, I see U of G. We've got someone here from U of G saying they were confirming that post-secondary institutions do still have students available for work term. So it's definitely not too late. I have a question about recent graduates. And this is a kind of over umbrella requirement of the WILWorks Student Work Placement Program. And the eligibility for that program is students do need to be registered full or part-time currently. And I think that all comes back to the work integrated learning and having or providing opportunities for students as part of their program to gain workplace experience while they're going to school. If businesses or organizations are looking for potential funding for recent grads, there is a space where we can share a link as well afterwards with some potential programs for hiring grads. But at this point in time, and the WILWorks program, it is focused on those currently registered in post-secondary institutions. I see U Ottawa also has some co-op students. So a big shout out to the post-secondary institutions that have joined us this morning. Thank you for that. And again, if employers are wondering about how to seek student talent, please reach out to us and we're happy to make those connections.
Susan, there's a question a little bit further up about, is there a definition for a manufacturer of minimum requirements to meet, for example, registered business or number of employees?
So the number of employees is not a requirement. However, the registered business, there are criteria around what organizations are eligible in terms of a registered business.
So you would probably suggest that they would contact us and that then we would help them to vet that out, correct?
Absolutely. That's a great follow-up to that, Kim. Thank you.
And then there's a question about apprentices. We have 3 apprentices. If I understood correctly, they would be eligible.
Yeah, so with the apprenticeship question as well, Wendy, we can follow up with you on those apprentices and just garnering a little bit more detail about those those apprentices that you have with you. So absolutely, Wendy, we'll follow up with you on that one. And there's a question as well about the tax credit. So tax credits, the provincial tax credits, this the WILWorks program is able to align or coincide alongside provincial funding initiatives. So there is the opportunity to take advantage of both programs. All right. How do we contact you? Perfect. So I'm going to get Raf to put up Wendy's and my contact information again on here. So understanding that we did, I think, present a lot of information for you this morning. And I find sometimes when you have the people that can answer the questions that you may have right in front of you, sometimes our minds just go blank. So absolutely, Wendy and I are here to support. If you have specific questions to your organization or your situation, please feel free to send them along. Or if you have any follow-up questions, it's 20 minutes after the meeting and you're like, oh, I should have asked this. That's what Wendy and I are here for. So please, please do reach out and we're happy to support. I think one kind of final note, if I may, for this is, I really do see this WILWorks program as a win-win-win. It's a wage subsidy for employers to be able to offer placements for students and to be able to get some of the wage that you're paying those students back will hopefully help with the overall operation and budget or financial restrictions that you may be feeling. I come from almost 2 decades of working in the post-secondary education landscape. And the student talent that is out there always marvels me. So if you haven't yet taken advantage or offered opportunities for students within your organization, I would strongly encourage you to do it, as it just, again, it amazes me, the students that are there, what they're learning, and everything that they can bring to the table for organizations that they work with. So thank you.
There was one question here, Susan. How are the candidates prepared through the program to enter the workplace? Are they provided with any legislative training requirements?
Yes, so with regards to the students, they're coming from Canada's publicly funded post-secondary institutions. So depending on the program, all of the students would be learning aspects related to the position. So a lot depends on what position you're hiring for, as well as what programs you're hiring out of. So again, that match is hopefully there with regards to what you require on the job, as well as what students are learning. So the legislative training requirements, I might want some more information on that, Doug, following this, just to be able to follow up with kind of a more specific answer for you. However, I can tell you again, coming from a long time within post-secondary, the students are coming to you with 4, 8, 16, sometimes even more months of theoretical and practical experience or training related to your area and industry. So the EMC isn't providing the students. Again, you're sourcing those through post-secondary institutions. And we can follow up, Doug, afterwards with kind of some more specifics to answer that question for you.
Okay, great. And I see that Wendy has just reiterated there on chat that she is available right after the webinar to help you with your applications. For those of you who, again, in our last poll said that you're just not quite sure, you'd like to get more information, please reach out. And again, we will be sending this presentation out to you with the links. And then that will give you some more information to contemplate. And I would encourage those of you who say, oh my gosh, I just don't have time to do this, to explore it, because it really isn't a complicated process. And that's the value of connecting with EMC, is that we're going to help you to streamline that the very best that we can. And then at the end of the day, you'll have a resource that you're able to use to help with some of those things that may take some things off of your plate, so that you're able to work on some other things by having that support. So I thank everybody for joining us today. Again, reach out with any questions, and you'll be seeing more through EMC communications as well in the future, as we continue to to offer this program through March of 2022. So thank you, everyone.